What's going on, guys? It's CTR coming at you with a brand new album today. I'm going to do a quick initial reaction, an album review, whatever you want to call it. I call it an initial reaction review, if that makes any sense. Today we're going to be looking at what could possibly go wrong. I mean, that's not a statement, that's actually the name of the album by Dominic Fike, released today, July 31st, at the time of recording, 2020. I was pretty looking forward to this album, I'm not going to lie to you. I quite like Dominic Fike. He's a bit different. He's not quite hip hop. He's not quite pop. He's not quite rock and roll. He's just sort of like, floating in the middle. He's a musician. He plays the guitar. He plays the drums. He can rap. He can sing, and he sort of blends it all together. And well, you see it in this album actually. That's why I was quite looking forward to it. I heard the singles that came out before this. You had Politics and Violence, which was it was okay. I'm gonna go into that a little bit later on in this discussion, talking about that song. I have a bit of a pet peeve for like that song and another song on this album. It really gets on my nerves because we'll get into it. I heard that, and I heard Chicken Tenders a couple of days ago. I think it was about a week ago now, which was much better in my opinion. Chicken Tenders, by the way, one of the best songs on this album is Chicken Tenders, and it doesn't surprise me that he released it as a single because it's top notch. There's a lot of good qualities to this album if you take the time to find them. You have to sift through and find like what you like about this album. Let me explain what I mean by that. I listened to this album once. I mean, it's 34 minutes, by the way. It's not that long. It's his first studio album. It was released under Columbia Records, who, I mean, I don't need to tell you who Columbia Records are. Jesus Christ, they've been around for years, and the amount of great albums that have come out on that label, doesn't need saying. But yeah, I listened to it, 34 minutes, I thought, cool, good album, I'm going to review it. And then I thought, I know it's only 34 minutes, but you do usually listen to the album more than once before you review it, Reese. Like, for example, last week I listened to the Logic album, which was 55 minutes long 3 times in a row before I reviewed it. So I thought, I'm going to give it another listen. And I'm glad I did, because I found more stuff that I liked about it. I found more stuff that I didn't like about it, and now I feel like I can have, a better discussion about the album in general. I'm going to start by saying this album would not go amiss, as in the songs would not go amiss in the background of an American teen reality drama. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a negative that I'm saying. That's actually one of the positives that I'm going to start off with. It's so chill and relaxing to listen to it, but at the same time sort of gets you in like a bit of a summer vibe, bit of I want this on in the background while I'm having a couple of beers with the guys and the girls, blah 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 blah. It's a good album, but at the same time, the first negative about this album is I don't think it ever really gets out of first gear, and when it does, it's very briefly. And what I mean by that is, you've got a really good song, like, for example, my favourite song on this album is Vampires. You've got that song, it's really upbeat, it really gets you going. And then the problem is, I think that the placement of the songs on this album really displace the mood that it gets you in. Another negative about this album, I think, is I don't think it flows very well. I mean, like, the albums that were reviewed in the past couple of weeks, you had the Black Eyed Peas one, you've had the Logic one, but, even the H one that we reviewed a couple of weeks ago, the Lady Gaga one, they all had something in common, and that was the songs were linked by a little bit of a, like a music transition, by a speaking transition, etc. So, because it felt like a more complete album, and I kept saying on those projects, it's going to be hard to review those albums because they all sort of flow together really nicely. With this one, it sort of ends and then the next song starts. It really feels like an EP when in actual fact it's his first studio album, and I think it could really more sound like a studio album if the songs flowed a little bit better and the songs were better placed in the album. What else is it? There's 14 songs. It's pretty good. A bit short for 14 songs. I mean, it's 34 minutes for 14 songs compared to the one that we reviewed last week, which had 16 songs and it was 55 minutes. And that's not me saying, oh, that makes it better. It doesn't make it better necessarily. I just would have liked to see more out of Dominic Fike for his first album. I mean, he has had another album, but this is his first studio one. As I keep saying, I think that's the first time that I've ever said studio album like more than like 3 times in a minute. it's starting to sound really weird. Let's get on to the positive of this though. As I say, you've got Chicken Tender, which is really good. You've got Vampires, my favourite song on this album, which is really good. You have got Cancel Me, which is probably my second favourite song on this album, taking more of a satirical view of, celebrities getting cancelled for what they say and what they do. In this song, he's like, cancel me because I want to go see my family. I want to stop, pretending to put on this character, blah, blah, blah. All the way through this album, by the way, I believe he does provide quite a lot of the instrumental backgrounds. As I said, he is a guitar player, he is a drum player, so it was obvious he was going to contribute to that. Really good quality in terms of combining rap with rock and then a bit of like suburban hip hop, if that makes sense. And then that takes me back to say, like, if it could fit really well in the background of a teen drama. I mean, you could just hear it. I can just see it. I could probably write a show with these songs in mind. But anyway, moving on. Let's get straight into it. Actually, I was gonna lay this to the end, but I don't want to end it on negative. So let's talk about this now. There's 2 songs on this album that do this, and it really got some nerves. One of them is Politics and Violence, and the other one is the final song, the longest song on the album, Florida. They start off really slowly, and all the way through the song, it's very slow. Even past the halfway point, it's really slow, and it's just like, okay, when is this going to kick in? It feels like one really long intro. And especially with Florida, by the way, that I felt it most when I was listening to Florida. But Politics and Violence do it as well. And then it like really like hits up in like the last minute or like the last 40 seconds into like a really good like rapping bit, and I'm like, yeah, where's this? Like, where's the rest of this in this song? This should be the song. It's really good. I really enjoyed the last bits of the songs, but the first part really let it down. So yeah, that's my little rant over about that. If you listen to this album, you will notice that. Like 100%, you will notice it. It's quite obvious, especially as I say in Florida, because it's the longest song and it takes time to get going. Really frustrating. With that being said, though, as song-wise, I'm going to mark the songs down as, because as I say, the album doesn't flow as well as other albums that we were talking about. I'm going to judge the songs individually, and I think this is where the album really shines. If it was put together a little bit better, then the songs would have impressed me more as much as they do now. The guitars in the background, fantastic. I don't know if it was Fike or somebody else, but well done on the instrumentals. I really like Whirly. It's a really good song. It's sort of, I think it's like the third to last song on the album. It has like a beat transition in the middle where, and this is like the only like transitional bit in the album. And I was like, I want to hear more of this because like it was really good. Yeah, it was in the middle of a song, but I want to hear more of it. You had Whirly, and it starts off with like one beat and then finishes on another beat, and like the other beat is faster at the end. Really good to hear. I really enjoyed it, and there should have been more of that. And if there was more than that, then I would have been rating this album a lot higher than I'm about to. I'm gonna give this album a 6.5, and that sounds low, and it is low. Not as harsh as like some of yous might turn around and say to me if you're a fan of Fike or if you're a fan of his music. I get it. I'm a fan of his music as well, but the negatives for me really outweigh the positives. Don't get me wrong, the positives are really good. I really like the music on this album, but that's as far as it goes. Just to go over the negatives again, I feel like the album could have been put together a little bit better, like quality wise, as in there could be more transitional parts in the album which made it flow. I think some of the songs could have been longer. It's only 34 minutes long. I feel like some of the songs should have been placed in different places in the album. And the only positive I can think of is individually, I really like the music. And you can only go so far with that. I mean, because it's not a song review. It's not my reaction to a song and then another song. It's the whole album. So you're going to have to be harsh about it. And I sound like I'm really being negative on it, but that's my opinion. And you might have the same opinion as me when you listen to it, and you might have a different opinion than me. If I had done this album review the first time and didn't go back and listen to it for the second time, I wouldn't have been talking about the positives. The instrumental work, etc. But as I say, there's a lot of good things in this album if you take the time to go and listen to it again. Listen to it more than once is what I'm trying to say to you. But with that being said, guys, it's the first day it's come out. That's my initial reaction. I mean, I could go back and listen to it again. As I say, I really like vampires. I might start to like it even more once, I go back and listen to it. But for now, it's going to get 6.5. And as I say, with all albums, it can go up, it can go down. It's the first day, it's fresh off the presses. Congratulations to Dominic Fike with his first studio album. I really like Chicken Tenders. I think it can go far. In my opinion, I think he should release Vampire or Cancel Me as a single off this album, because them two songs could really do well. But with that being said, guys, you go and listen to the album and tell me what you think, because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters to me. I like talking about music, and I like to hear everybody's opinion, no matter what. Even if you're not a fan of this type of music, I definitely recommend you go check it out. But with that being said, guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this initial reaction / review, blah blah blah, give it a like. Go subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, go and like us on Facebook. If you want a request to join the group, I'll accept you. We can be friends. Go follow the public group on Facebook. Go follow us on Twitter. We'll try to get the followers up on Twitter, guys. But with that being said, I hope you have a great weekend. Happy Friday, and peace out.
Chart Topper Radio.